Thank you very much. Ambassador, I'm glad to meet you today. And thank you very, very kind words. And you are correct in saying that with our shared ideals and advocacy, and when we cooperate, our nations cooperate together, there's nothing that we could do wrong. So I hope that relationship will even become stronger in the near future. So U.S. Ambassador Sung Kim, Dr. Susan Brems, USAID Mission Director, we hope that the end of this USAID project will just be the beginning of a new batch of cities and municipalities and provinces that need your assistance. Governor Petilia, yes, a good friend, a family friend. Mayor Jed Mabilog, you should visit, those who have not, their provinces and cities to see how beautiful the country is. Mayor Oka Moreno, Mayor Isabel Climaco, Miss Cecilia Alcantara of the Coca-Cola Foundation. I understand that you have a very good program in water recycling, which I'd like to visit as well. And I am looking forward to perhaps meeting with Miss Mona Greiser, who I just found out today has had more than 20 years in the water sector. That could probably help me in my work as Finance Committee Chair and perhaps draft a bill to back up the Clean Water Act of 2003, as I have the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act, which will soon be enacted into law. Coming up with a Water Efficiency and Conservation Act could probably be a good idea, and using the output of the studies conducted by Bebe and company. So I would appreciate receiving all the outputs of all the studies you've done with local governments. Mr. Patrick Catan of the Public Works Department, I'd like to greet all of you. Good afternoon. I stand before you today as a Filipino proud of our country, as the President ratified the Paris Agreement. You've probably read it in the papers as well. The Senate proudly, unanimously, 22-0, ratified or concurred in the ratification of the agreement. This, despite fears and anxieties last year that there would be no Philippine ratification. I never doubted that we could pull it off. And the challenge now is how we are able to make sure the agreement works towards mitigation, adaptation, climate finance, technology, and actually the 100 million people, most of whom are vulnerable populations, feeling the impact and the importance of the Paris Agreement. There is a saying that goes, we never know the worth of water till the well is dry. As I see all our glasses with bottled water, I always make the point, I finish the water served in a glass. Otherwise, I use it for something else, because we have seen how families, how women and children, how people in the rural areas and even in Metro Manila are water starved. And this especially starts in the months of March onwards. This adage is probably one of the most overused, understandably, as it encapsulates a continuing challenge of water security and sustainability. Water is a basic need, yet it is a resource that we have taken for granted, with our unending showers or bathtubs sometimes, or as I said, water we drink in our glasses, or even while washing dishes or habang naglalaba while washing clothes. We take it for granted because we're an archipelago. Indeed, so much water, but still no water or not enough potable water. Perhaps a seeming abundance of it creates a sense of complacency without realizing that of all the world's water, only about 0.5% is suitable for human consumption. In 2015, 91% of the world's population had access to an improved drinking water source, compared with 76% in 1990. About 4.2 billion people now get water through a piped connection, while 2.4 billion access water through other improved sources such as public taps, protected wells, and boreholes. That's a quote. However, at least 1.8 billion people around the world use a drinking water source that is fecally contaminated. Moreover, half of the world's population will be living in water-stressed areas, it is said, by year 2025, and that is soon. Here in the Philippines, around 8 million Filipinos still lack access to safe water, and about the same number still practice open defecation. This is a concern that is raised every year when we look at the budget, especially of the Department of Health. And what I'd really like to do is by 2018 that we provide all the needs because the funds are there. And the problem would lie in local governments and in the availability of land for latrines and toilets, both for public and private consumption. Because in terms of funding it through the public works and health departments, there is no problem. The implementation of providing toilets for every Filipino family rests in the LGUs, local governments providing the land available. And so perhaps in the coming months, I would be glad to meet with the ULAP or with the leagues of local governments to see how they could work together with the Public Works Department and the Department of Health so that funding can be given if the land is also available. While we try to address these problems, we are faced with new challenges. Water stress, amplified by climate change, will create a growing security challenge. In fact, the Philippines will likely experience severe water shortage by 2040 due to the combined impact of rapid population growth and climate change. The USAID knows this very well, and we are grateful for your support in addressing these challenges through the Be Secure project, especially through capacity building program for local governments, which you have done, and inculcating the importance of water conservation and management to communities in the context of climate change. We acknowledge the fact that the continued overlapping and fragmented regulation of water supply services in the country by several government entities is one factor that hinders the enactment of a doable and long-term solution to prevent a water shortage. It is a priority of the government to create an integrated water resource management framework, as well as a short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategies and programs for the National Master Plan for Water. These were actually discussed in an interagency meeting for the National Water Summit coming soon and roadmap, which involved all the water agencies of government and the private sector representatives that was convened in Malacanang last January, but there was another meeting just a few days ago hosted by UP Los Baños. Challenges were identified in the following sectors: household, urban, agriculture, economic, environmental, resilience, and governance. And perhaps your studies or even the good things that have come up in the cities of Iloilo, Cagayan de Oro, in the province of Leyte, and even in Zamboanga can be templates for us as we come up with our suggestions for this roadmap for water conservation in the future. Consultations are ongoing, but one thing is certain: we need to consolidate all water agencies in the country and craft a roadmap for sustainable water use. Much work needs to be done, and we are grateful that we have partners like the USAID to support us. When you think about it, the Public Works Department has its water agency, the LUA, is that correct? The DNR has a National Water Resource Board. We have so many water agencies, but then we really have to streamline and make sure these water agencies don't just have overlapping functions, but they actually should perform their mandate. And this will be part of the right sizing bill, which I filed in the Senate along with some colleagues, which is a priority of the budget department to be able to rationalize the existence of all government departments and agencies, including all the water-related agencies of government. Today, on World Water Day, we are again reminded that we are the stewards of the earth, not here to exploit, but to sustainably manage our natural resources. Just as it is our right to access clean water, it is also our responsibility to ensure that the well never runs dry. Thank you very much for having me here today.